Bonjour, bon mois du créole. Vous êtes en train d'écouter Lana, l'éducatrice.
So, hello, listeners, and welcome back to my channel, your go-to destination for all things educational. And thank you for tuning in. I am Lana, the educator. If you're a first-time listener on this channel, welcome. Join me as I explore the latest educational trends, tackle pressing issues facing the education sector, and share stories of triumph and innovation from classrooms around the globe. One important thing we do here on Lana the Educator is conduct insightful interviews with people making a difference, like today's guest on our podcast, Anyka Batista. Yes, she is a dynamic cultural leader and global connector. Anyka is a trilingual director, program manager, and educator whose career bridges international cooperation, education, and sustainable development. She currently serves as the director of Alliance Française of Trinidad and Tobago, where she leads transformative initiatives that unite people through language, culture, and diplomacy. She is fluent in English, French, and Spanish, and a passionate advocate for cultural inclusion. Anyka has worked with prestigious organizations such as the United Nations, the Carrefour Foundation, and the French Embassy. Her leadership has reimagined the Alliance Française as a vibrant space for learning, creativity, and cross-cultural dialogue, especially in highlighting the richness of the French Caribbean identity. With advanced degrees from Sorbonne University and the University of Cergy-Pontoise.
Nice.
And certifications in project management, gender protocol, and fundraising. Anyka brings both vision and precision to her work. At her core, she believes that every project, no matter its scale, is an opportunity to connect with people, to celebrate diversity, and to open doors to new possibilities. So join me in welcoming Anyka Batista. Thank you for joining us here today.
Thank you so much for the invitation, Lana. I'm happy to be here.
All right. So many people might not know about this organization. So for listeners who may not be familiar with it, what is the core mission in Trinidad and Tobago and elsewhere, if they exist elsewhere?
Alliance was founded in 1951. So we've been in Trinidad for 74 years already, 75 years next year in 2026. And really looking forward to that 75th anniversary and celebrating it with the whole of Trinidad and Tobago and the region. We are a French school and the cultural center working with the French Embassy, working very closely with the French Embassy. So we have over 400 students every year, a bit over 15 teachers who work with us. Most of our teachers are in the government schools and private schools. They teach at their regular jobs at school and then come to us to give extra classes to adults, to teenagers, to kids. We provide services from our youngest student is actually 4 years old. And our eldest student, well, we don't count after that. We really do welcome everyone. And distance is no issue because our classes are mainly online as well as in person at Alliance Française, and we're based in St. Clair.
Lovely. We're celebrating Creole Heritage Month, as you very well know from my earlier podcast. So tell us what this month means to the Alliance Française, Creole Heritage Month.
Creole Heritage Month for us is absolutely an event to be celebrated. We would love to celebrate Creole culture all year round, and we are going to do so because the month of October traditionally is dedicated to highlighting Creole culture. So we know that there are different types of Creole across the world. We highlight the French Creole. So following colonization across the Caribbean and the different influence of the French in Trinidad and Tobago, we have our own patois, our own Creole language here. And we celebrate it by highlighting the language and the words that we use every day in our Trini language. And we don't even realize that we're speaking patois or Creole. So when we say fête, when we say zaboka, someone reminded me the other day, bazodi, things like that, even doudou to mean sweetheart, and so many others that have really entered our local parlance. We love it. And there's also so much space in terms of creativity. We celebrate the French Caribbean identity across the region Right now, our friends at the Alliance Française in Dominica
Mhm.
are celebrating. They have an entire Creole festival. We would love for Trinidad to get to that level of celebrating Creole culture. And we will, we really will, because there are strong partners here,
Right.
whether the National Trust or the churches. Paramin and Talpara communities are so active. The Paramin Patois Committee exists and is thriving. They're teaching Patois in schools in both Paramin and Talpara.
Mhm.
So there's lots to be done, but there's already lots being done as well that we can capitalize on.
Mm. And as we're talking about lots to be done and being done, what
Mhm.
has been done in terms of your celebration for the Creole Heritage Month so far, and what can we expect, well, for the rest of this week, I guess, because the month is ending? What should we expect and what has been going on?
All right, so many exciting things. At the Alliance Française, in any case, there's always something exciting happening, truly. So we started on the 6th of October with a film screening of Carnival.
Mhm.
It's a film that started in Haiti and continued to Canada, following the identity and the journey of a young mother and her son who were fleeing the Duvalier dictatorship
Mhm.
in Haiti. So that film was actually co-produced by a past student of Alliance Française, Najim Glasgow Maeda. And I discovered the movie thanks to the Trinidad and Tobago Film Festival. It was screened there. They actually won the best feature-length fiction film.
Yes.
We are so proud. And in speaking with the director, Mr. Henry Pardo, who speaks French fluently as well, and after meeting the co-producer, just discussing, we realized that he had actually been to Alliance. So he was excited, we were excited, and he agreed right away to screen the movie with us
Mhm.
and to actually attend and host a Q&A afterwards with the audience.
Good.
So that was at the beginning of the month, and that kickstarted Creole Heritage Month for us. Then this weekend, things really got exciting, or even more exciting, I should say. So last Friday, we hosted Sonia Dumas, a Dance de Madras workshop and demonstration. So she actually brought several ballet skirts for our general audience to
Mhm.
participate in the dancing. And she explained the history of Madras, which is actually the fabric, that very specific and traditional fabric
Mhm.
with the red, green, and gold colors, or with the blue. It looks like plaid.
Mhm.
Sorry, that's the French pronunciation. Plaid.
Yeah.
to to the rest of us, but it's actually a very traditional wear that has origins in India, but also in Africa.
Mhm.
And it is traditionally worn even now across the Caribbean. So Sonia Dumas of Coco Dance Festival came to us and did an amazing demonstration with her guest speakers. And then on Saturday, we hosted with Boca's Lit Fest
Mhm.
and the Writers Center a lovely conference on the origins and the history of patois in
Mhm.
Trinidad and Tobago with Dr. Joanne Ferrara, our expert, our national hero and expert, Namdi Hodge, who is also a teacher at the Alliance. He teaches patois online with us,
Mhm.
as well as Wendy Diama. She is a past director of the Alliance as well, and originally from the French Caribbean.
Okay.
All of it was animated by Georgia Popplewell, the managing director of Vocus Lit Fest,
Mhm.
and we had a really lovely turnout. That's the thing, when we propose these types of events, people come out, and that's what we need. We need to see that there is interest so that we can cultivate it. So
Mhm.
the Patois conference was followed by a film screening at the Alliance, a film called Akyka,
Mhm.
based on the history of a Martinican journalist and activist who was silenced. I sorry I gave away the end of the movie, but he
I'll
was
put a
uh, he was
spoiler
fighting.
alert.
He was fighting for justice and
Right.
freedom, and his fight for the civil rights of workers and just the human rights in general led to the creation of a certain political party, etc. So that was very eye-opening. We got an excellent feedback from the audience.
Mhm.
And we know it's definitely something that you want to pursue because what you're realizing is that there's such quality in terms of Caribbean programming, but it's
Yeah.
not necessarily highlighted in on social media or in traditional media. So we
Yes.
really want to source these films, movies, screenplays, every literature. We really want to do that work And we're going to continue working with Bucas Lit Fest, but also with UE, specifically the Center for Languages, but also the UE Film Program, who kindly lent us the movie.
Nice.
And then we were in Parliament for the Patois Creole Mass, and it was lovely because the energy and the dynamism that that entire parish just shows, they pour out of them, that kindness. I mean, from the time I was going to say landed, it feels like such a journey when you go up that hill. But from the time we stepped out of the vehicle, that warm welcome of the parishioners, literally taking us in, and showing us around, greeting us, showing their traditional wear as well. It really was a lovely experience. So I do encourage everyone to attend at least one Patois Mass, either in October or in February every year.
I endorse.
And the calendar. The calendar continues. So tomorrow, we are attending a lovely event hosted by the National Trust. Again, a Patois conference, but this time followed by handicraft and artisanal work by the, again, Parliament Patois Committee and other partners. And on Thursday, we are going to close off Creole Heritage Month with a partnership with UE. They will be hosting us for a Creole Day of activities for students and for persons who are interested as well. There will be things like short movies, workshops. Everything is going to be dynamic and interactive, and it's open to all.
Very nice. So how do you decide which cultural experiences to bring to the audience or to showcase during, your months like these?
That is a very interesting question. Honestly, I use the UN calendar a lot. There is an International Day for everything. I mean, literally everything.
Yeah.
We know about the big ones for water, for children, for women's rights, for the environment.
Right.
But there are also specific days for cultural events. There's Indigenous rights. There's an International Day for everything. So because I worked at the UN, up till very recently, as a program manager there, I was very aware of the calendar. So I use it in my daily life to know what to celebrate as well, but also at work. So that's one thing. That's one way of doing it. And also we do have guidelines from the foundation of Alliance Française. There's a very strong regional coordination unit as well, based in St. Lucia, just in the Caribbean, the English-speaking Caribbean, I should say.
Okay.
So there are 10 Alliance Françaises across the English-speaking Caribbean. So we have, of course, Trinidad and Tobago, but also St. Lucia, Jamaica, Guyana, Grenada, St. Kitts, Dominica, Barbados, and Suriname.
So what makes, the Alliance Française approach to cultural exchange unique in this particular region, and maybe even unique in Trinidad and Tobago, since you said there are 9 others? What makes ours so unique to cultural exchange?
I actually find that we have a lot of similarities because of our shared history across the English-speaking Caribbean. I was delighted to know that there's the Creole Heritage Month, for example, is really celebrated in a big way in Dominica, Grenada, Guyana is getting there. They're working on it as well. And St. Lucia with actual Creole festivals. I would love for us to have a real Creole festival. I mean, the size of, maybe not Carrie Festa, but honestly, that's the aim, because it's our culture. It really, really is.
Does Tobago have one?
Realize it.
I know Tobago has
Creole
some
festival.
No, maybe just Heritage. I think it's just Heritage.
They have the Heritage Festival, Blue Food Festival, so many different ones, but not Creole, not Creole Heritage Festival. And we do have the experts here. The persons I named earlier, Dr. Ferrer and Andy Hodge, etc. We do have the expertise and we can capitalize on it. What we need, though, are the resources. I will say that the Creole Heritage Month that we are organizing at the Alliance Française is not funded specifically. Alliance funds its own activities. We do receive assistance from the French Embassy, based in Trinidad, of course, but also in St. Lucia for specific projects. If you've heard about our music festival every year in June, Fête de la Musique, that is funded directly. a Francophonie month, which is the month of March celebrating French culture and language, is funded directly as well. In terms of upcoming events, we're already planning International Teachers Day, International French Teachers Day, which is on the 20th of November.
Oh, nice.
So these specific events are funded directly by the Embassy of France. Everything else comes from our own income, the revenue that we earn based on our classes and our events, and we're able to reinvest into other celebrations. So if we were to approach private sponsors or even receive assistance from the government, from schools, ministries, from everyone, honestly, everyone. And we really do thank, that's why we thank our members at the Alliance Française, because it is, you can purchase membership, an annual membership, and that also funds your activities. Or you could just take a class or attend an event because every cent spent is reinvested.
Right. Lovely. And I'm learning new things and new activities because I really have to thank the Alliance Française. I kind of remember how I arrived there. I think you had, was it September, or a couple of months ago, the cultural fair or something, right? That was
Yes,
it?
absolutely. In September, yes,
Right. What
yes.
does the correct name? Cultural fair?
Absolutely. It's
Right.
our
Yeah.
it's our open house. We call it
Right.
the French Culture and Language Day.
Right. And I'm
So
now
yeah.
thinking, you see open houses all the time, and you never really, I now understand the impact and the importance of an open house. Because since then, I think
Absolutely.
your organization and what you guys are doing have provided me with an opportunity to see a whole new side of Trinidad and Tobago, to
Mhm.
experience new cultures, the French aspect, the Patois aspect, and given me so much to do on the weekends and during the week this month. So there's really something, and everything is valuable. You don't feel, and a lot of it was free. A lot of it is free.
Yes, yes.
And I think I felt, and I've invited several people, that we've gotten so much valuable, just experiences from this, and knowing that aspect of your country. It's a different aspect. For example, you were talking about at the Writer Center and the film screening, and a lot of people just popped in and they said they found, that this was interesting. They hadn't necessarily signed up per se, but they were very interested to stay, and they stayed for both
Excellent.
events. And they said, this is something that they want to do again and again. So I do think it's having impact here, and I'm definitely going to be looking out for it next year.
Mission accomplished.
Because now I'm saying my
Yes.
whole October is gone, and normally October is such a weird month where it's just, I think for most people it's September and everybody is busy with school and things, and the new term and all of that. But
True.
and then October is a kind of month where you're just up in the air. Besides, people might be celebrating Halloween or whatever. But I think what
Mm,
your Alliance Française has been doing in collaboration with other, the Bocas Lit and the French embassy, has really given us to put on our main calendar of events in Trinidad and Tobago, I think. Because I was
that
asking,
is.
some of these should be on the tourism website, because there were some foreigners there yesterday
Mm,
saying, I looked for things and I saw one or two things, and it's because they actually came into your establishment, like the physical establishment, that they were able to see the whole kind of calendar of events. And I think I saw some people actually there today. So it just, by those different experiences. So I really do recommend it. It's like, you have a whole new aspect to Trinidad and Tobago. But it's free. It's really, and Anyka is such a welcoming person to do that. Yeah. So thank you so much for
Thank
that experience.
you.
Yeah.
Thank you so much. Honestly, mission accomplished. If you're
Good.
able to attend one event and then you're hooked and then you come back to see us and then you go
Yeah.
to see the partners and everyone else, because
Right.
it's really, culture is really a community.
Mm-hmm.
It's my first time working in culture. I've always worked in development or
Mm-hmm.
international relations or something related, but not directly linked to culture. And this is my first time. I've been director only since June
Mm-hmm.
2024.
You're
First
doing a great
Trinidadian
job.
director. Ah,
No, because
thank
I
you
thought
so
you were there all the
much.
time. You're so, you're very structured. You know what you're doing. You're very, I think, informed about everything concerning your work and the places that you're aligned with, and so calm, and welcoming to everybody.
Ah,
Yeah, so I like
very
that. 'Cause,
calm on the outside.
well, I don't know. Well, when you meet her, you will see, and very pleasant and welcoming. And I'm not just saying that for me. I heard a lot of people saying that over, even if they didn't know your name, they would point you out and they'd say, "She's so nice. She's so nice. She's so great." So I've been hearing that. So at least you get a
You,
little piece of
Lana.
gossip from me. What led you to take on this role? You were saying that you don't haven't done this type of thing in culture, you're more development. So how did you end up here?
Mhm.
Hmm.
Well, that's the thing. I really find that studying economics leads to so many other things. I have a
Hmm.
master's in economics, but also in translation
Hmm.
from France.
Hmm.
And I started working at a foundation. So a foundation works on humanitarian aid generally. So
Hmm.
that's what I was doing for over 10 years.
Wow.
And then when I came back to Trinidad and Tobago, I wanted to give back. And so I started at the UN
Hmm.
working on preventing violence against women and girls, an
Oh.
amazing program called the Spotlight Initiative
Mhm.
that has ended now in Trinidad and Tobago, but that continues elsewhere. And then since I was on the board of the Alliance Française volunteering, so that's one thing as well. I always encourage persons to volunteer. Once you see you have a bit of free time,
Mhm.
find a cause that speaks to you and go out there, sign up, register, volunteer. Give your time and your energy and your talent. Share it with your community. So I had volunteered to be a member of the board. There were elections, etc., of course. And that went really well. And I fell in love with the organization because when I was a French student, I wasn't able to attend the Alliance Française. We lived in the East, and it was just too far.
Right.
Alliance being too speaking to you in French, Alliance being located in Port of Spain. So and of course, at the time, I'm very young, but at the time there were not online classes as yet.
Right.
You really had to go. So I really, what's interesting for me here is that I'm able to work on outreach and go more out into the communities. But being on the board led to many other opportunities as well. When there was an opening as director,
Hmm.
I took the opportunity, really. I signed up because it was a way of seeing how things work from the inside. When you're on the board of an organization, you work on strategy. How can we develop the organization? Which
Hmm.
is amazing and it is very important.
Hmm.
But it's also important to really get your hands dirty and not dirty, but what's the other expression in English? To roll your sleeves up.
Yes.
That's what I wanted to do.
Down to the
Um,
nitty-gritty.
Yes, and really, boots on the ground.
Right.
So that's literally what is happening right now. And it is amazing because to be working with teachers directly, to go into the schools and hear and interact with the students,
Hmm.
hear why they love French, what they want to do with their French, what they see themselves doing in future. And
Hmm.
I just keep reminding them, choose whatever subject you like, specialize and focus in any topic
Hmm.
and have languages in addition because it will enable you to expand your horizons and to work anywhere. But get that technical expertise, so I chose economics, but also continue your French, continue your Spanish, whatever language you love, and you'll be able to work anywhere.
Yeah. Because I actually was surprised to see that your whole background basically was in economics. Because I said, oh, probably she did French through school and French masters and French. This just to see this different field. There that was surprising to me, and I loved that surprise. It was a pleasant surprise because I always tell people here, the people that I invite on the podcast, sometimes I don't know. I always get little surprises, but I'm always pleased that they don't only always take traditional forms of education, or it might be a backup, because they've met like doctors of different fields, but they're really doing art, or they're bartending, or they're writing a book or something else that is really their passion, that is how they ended up on the podcast. So I like the idea that, as you say, you have your technical field, but you have something else. By the way, I mean, you did your whole, let's say, your academic career and field is in economics. So how did you end up in French? How I know you did your
Ah,
stuff in France, but yeah,
I
how
did,
did
I
and you're
did.
very fluent in it, but I mean, how did that happen? That's basically what I want to
Okay.
know. Hmm.
I started French in Trinidad just like any other average student in Form
Right.
1.
Yeah.
Persons are convinced I must have started as a child or
Mhm.
that someone of my parents is French. No, no, no. Honestly, I started just like everyone else in Form 1,
Right.
but I never stopped. I
Hmm.
really fell in love with it. I wanted to go to France one day, and I just continued. I continued up to Cape,
Hmm.
and then I left for France immediately after. And I studied and worked there for 22 years. and then came back to Trinidad and Tobago. Now you can guess how old I am.
Well, you see, my eyebrows went up and hear me fumbling now because I'm going to tell people when I show you the picture of Anyka here, you will not think when she says 22 years now. Oh my gosh.
It's true. It's true. It's true. So I never stopped learning or speaking French, and I feel like the cultural immersion is essential. The textbook learning is one thing, but I have a distinct souvenir of a teacher telling me, that's not quite the word that we use, because I
Oh,
was speaking textbook French, what I had learned in
right.
class.
Mm,
And when you get there, yes, there's, classic French, but there's also what people really say to express themselves and their emotions,
mhm,
and that is what cultural immersion brings to you. The
mhm.
first time I woke up and realized that I had dreamt in French, it was a breakthrough moment, a really eureka moment.
Oh,
And I wish everyone could have that experience.
beautiful.
Travel if you can, and if you can't, there's so much online now. Honestly, we need to use our time online usefully.
Right.
There you can go in one direction, but you can also choose to do productive things online. There's so many certificates and training and
Mm-hmm.
opportunities and just useful videos
Mm-hmm.
that help you to enhance yourself and your talents.
Mm-hmm.
We should take advantage of that.
I know you make all this seem so easy when I tell you when you go down and you meet
Yeah, really too.
Anyka at the Alliance Française, like friend. You know, most of us here, and that's probably what's happening with me. Spanish is the thing we meet first in schools.
Mm,
In our second, not necessarily friends. Some schools, like the Catholic schools, board schools, you might get both the French and the Spanish. So even saying the name of the organization is not, familiar. But and it must I would the point I'm trying to make is you make it seem very easy, but I'm sure that there are challenges that you have in terms of promoting French culture when so much of the Spanish culture, not that you have to answer the question comparatively, but I've seen my nieces, I see my French children from
mm,
kindergarten learning to count in Spanish and, they promoting Dora the Explorer or whatever. And then our streets are named
mm.
in Spanish and the schools do Spanish, and they're using all these textbooks. So what challenges do you face in promoting French culture in a society like this?
Mm. You mentioned the most important ones. So I always say Spanish is equally important.
Hmm.
Of course, thanks to our geographical proximity with Latin America,
Right.
Spanish is very prevalent here. As you said, culturally, also the persons in terms of, when you go out, or if you, I took a taxi the other day and the driver was Venezuelan, so we were able to speak in Spanish. So I
Okay.
mean, it's very present in our community, and that's even better. It makes us richer.
Right.
So I always say that French is equally important because right now we have direct flights to Martinique and Guadeloupe. French Guyana as well is
Right.
part of our region.
Right.
We have St. Martin that speaks French as well. St. Lucia speaks a bit, Dominica, of course, Haiti.
Right.
And we have direct flights to Europe, whether you go through Amsterdam or London, and which links you as well to Paris. So it is accessible, not necessarily in terms of price all the time. I have experienced it, but at least it is possible, which was not necessarily the case before.
Mm-hmm.
But the challenges here is that French is not taught at all at a primary school level. So what we've done, we've begun with the private schools because it was easier to change things there
Mm-hmm.
because we have a direct relationship with certain school directors that we created. We went out to see them. The primary schools, the government primary schools are interested, but they're not able to change their curriculum. That takes place at a higher level, and that will take time.
Mm-hmm.
So we started with the private schools by introducing kids' French clubs. So there's one at the Alliance where we have classes on a Friday afternoon and a Saturday morning. So Friday afternoons are for English speakers who come to us and who play and learn in French. It's accessible to all ages. We also have a kids club on a Saturday morning for French speakers because we do have a certain number of expatriates here in Trinidad and Tobago working with the international companies, and they send their kids to us so they can continue learning. Some of them have always been expatriates and never been in a French school. So we teach them to read and write, even though they speak very well French. They speak excellent French because that's what they hear at home. They
Mm-hmm.
don't necessarily know how to read and write in French. So we will learn those skills with them. We also offer private classes. But so these things are all services of the Alliance. It would be so much easier if French was introduced as early as primary school. But we'll get there. We'll get there. That's a lot of lobbying, and the French embassy is supporting us in this journey. And we'll work with new government as well.
Oh, great.
The
So how can
screen,
people get
yeah.
involved? How can people get involved with the Alliance Française?
There are several ways of getting involved with the Alliance Française. You can become a member, for one. That's the easiest way and most direct way. Membership is only $200 per person for a complete year. And then we have different discounts, whether you're a teacher or already a student of French. So you just reach out to us at 4611742 or find us on social media, Alliance Française TNT, whether Facebook or Instagram, and we will send all the details. So there are different ways of engaging, becoming a member, attending one of our events. Many are free and funded directly by the Alliance and the French Embassy, and others are paid events. The bigger ones like the Wine and Cheese Festival, for example, that takes place at the end of the year. You can also engage with us on social media. For many persons, that's how they start with Alliance. They have heard of us because we posted something, or because someone else posted something, or because we would have sponsored a post for a certain event or celebration. Social media is always the most engaging way to go to begin, because we do offer content there, and the invitations that we send out, it enables persons to come to the Alliance and discover what we do. We also highlight when we go to schools, usually secondary schools who teach French. There are about 40 schools across Trinidad and Tobago that teach French out of the 120 secondary schools. So we are the minority. That's also one of the challenges. But we are going out to all of the regions. And when we do, we highlight it on our social media to show other schools that we can come to you. The government over the past few years has sent out invitations encouraging schools to host language days.
Right.
So often schools will invite us, or we will propose to them. And we take all of our Alliance Française kit and we go to them to talk about French and how learning is interesting, and just activities to create a dynamic, engaging environment. It's not about going and giving a conference or doing an assembly. That's not what we do. We prefer to have small workshops and activities where classes will come to us, either class by class or just the French students. But often it's always French and Spanish students. It's a great mix. And that's what we like, because we really feel like French is accessible to anyone who is passionate or motivated.
Okay. Well, thank you so much, and Anyka Batista, for joining us here on Lana the Educator. I want my listeners to know that you empower minds and you ignite curiosity.
Thank you so much, Lana.